All right, let's talk about the story that has absolutely captivated and horrified the world: the unsealing of the Epstein Files. I mean, think about it. 3 million pages of documents, a list of names that reads like a who's who of global power. So, what are these files really? And what do they tell us? Let's break it down. Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at what these files actually are and where they came from. Then, we'll get a little background on the man at the center of it all, Jeffrey Epstein. After that, we dive into the shocking allegations, followed by the denials from those implicated. And finally, we'll touch on the wild web of conspiracy that surrounds this entire case. So let's start with the files themselves. It's really important to know that this wasn't some kind of anonymous leak. These documents were unsealed as part of a 2015 lawsuit that one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, filed against his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. It was a court-ordered release, and man, did it set off a global firestorm. And the scale of this release is just staggering. We are talking about roughly 3 million pages of documents being made public. Just try to picture that. It's a mountain of information that people are still digging through. But none of these files make sense unless you understand the man at the center of this spiderweb. So let's ask the basic question. Who exactly was Jeffrey Epstein? Well, officially, Epstein was an American financier, though how he made his money was always pretty murky. What wasn't murky were his connections. He was famous for hobnobbing with the absolute elite, the rich, the powerful, the famous, all while being, let's not forget, a convicted sex offender. Now, the source material claims he had a very specific playbook. Think of it as a 3-step process. Step 1, build relationships with really high-profile people. Step 2, throw these incredibly lavish parties to connect world leaders and other influential figures. And step 3, this is the darkest part of the whole allegation, provide underage victims to his powerful clients. And that brings us right to the heart of what's inside these unsealed documents, the truly shocking allegations and the powerful names attached to them. We're going to walk you through these claims exactly as they're presented in the source material. So the first group of powerful people named in the files includes some major political figures from all around the globe. The source claims Donald Trump's name shows up, get this, hundreds of times. It also states he was on an FBI list related to allegations of sexual abuse, and directly cites accusations using words that translate to filth and rape. Another world leader mentioned is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This one comes from an alleged 2017 email from Epstein himself, which claims that during a trip to Israel, Modi took advice and danced and sang for the benefit of a U.S. president. Okay, so from politics, the documents then swing over to the world of tech, and they name some of the biggest titans in that industry. The allegations against Bill Gates are, well, they're incredibly detailed and disturbing. The source material claims he had a desire for Russian girls. It goes on to allege that he contracted an STD and pleaded with Epstein for antibiotics to secretly give his then-wife. And it even claims he sent an email to Epstein with a graphic description of his own anatomy. Elon Musk is also named. In this case, an alleged email reportedly shows Musk asking Epstein when the wildest, craziest party was going to be held on his private island. And this next allegation is perhaps one of the most severe. It's leveled against former U.S. President George H.W. Bush. A document which the source says was cited by the website Live Mint reportedly contains a victim's testimony claiming they were raped by Bush Sr. The source also specifically points out that the victim in this instance was male. Now, this is where the allegations just go off the rails into completely unverified territory. The source mentions these really extreme claims that have been circulating on social media. We're talking about things like cannibalism and ritual sacrifice. But, and this is absolutely crucial, the source itself makes it crystal clear that these particular claims are unverified and cannot be confirmed. Okay, so these are some truly explosive allegations. But for the full picture, it is absolutely essential that we look at the other side of the story, the denials and the counterclaims from the people who've been named. Bill Gates has forcefully denied everything, calling the claims lies and arguing the documents were fabricated to smear his name. Elon Musk's response? He's basically said that he was actually in favor of exposing the files and that, with his resources, he certainly doesn't need someone like Jeffrey Epstein to help him host a party. The Indian government also came out with a very swift and very strong denial. The Ministry of External Affairs called the allegation against Prime Minister Modi absolutely false and dismissed it as nothing more than trash ruminations by a convicted criminal. So, beyond all the specific accusations and denials, the source material also gets into the much bigger, tangled web of conspiracy theories that are trying to explain the why behind this whole thing. And a huge part of what fuels these theories are the really mysterious circumstances surrounding Epstein's death, right? So he gets jailed for sex trafficking crimes, and then he's just found dead in his cell. The source highlights reports that the security cameras were supposedly broken and the guards were asleep at the exact time of his death, which you have to admit leaves a whole lot of unanswered questions. The source touches on several big theories. For example, was Epstein actually an asset from Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, who was being used to trap and blackmail world leaders? Or maybe it's more about geopolitics. Were these files released at this specific moment to pressure Donald Trump on his foreign policy with Iran? I mean, these are the huge questions that are just swirling around this case. So, as we wrap up, what we're left with is this deeply complex and, frankly, very confusing picture. You've got official court documents filled with allegations on one side, and on the other, you have these completely unverified claims mixed with incredibly forceful denials from some of the most powerful people on Earth. And all of that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? When the secrets of the powerful collide head-on with these vast conspiracy theories, and all the evidence is buried in millions of pages of documents, how do you even figure out what the truth is? Who and what do you believe?